Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have 6 stories for you from the YouKaren subreddit. Before we start that, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can always change your mind later. Alright, on to the stories. Let's jump right in. This story comes to us from Chelsea Elric. Male Karen yells at my mother-in-law when their store messed up her order. This past Sunday, my mother-in-law had ordered pizza for everyone at her house. This is something she does regularly for her family. She's very kind and generous, often taking the younger kids into her home on weekends so that the kids and parents in our family have room to breathe for a bit. That doesn't leave much free time for herself because she works as a full-time pick placement nurse during the week. We always thank her, make sure she doesn't need a break that week, and let her know how much we appreciate her. This weekend though, she went above and beyond. She had the 15 and 12-year-old girl cousins and my 6-year-old son from Friday to Sunday night. All of this while bringing him to the birthday party we planned and set up for our son on Saturday, then offering to keep him afterward. She really is amazing. So back to the pizza, she likes to order from the hut that makes pizza, and normally there aren't any problems. This time when her food was delivered, the pizzas were cold and they had forgotten 4 sodas. She was rightfully upset and called the store to see if they could still deliver the drinks or if she could get a discount or refund. She was very respectful. I have anxiety and any sort of anger or rude language sticks out to me. She had neither. She usually takes calls on speaker, so this was the conversation. Do you know if the driver who just dropped off our order could bring the sodas back? I think they forgot them. Nah, they can't. Okay, could I get a refund or something instead? Your driver was through DoorDash, so you'd have to talk to them about that. Oh, I didn't know that Pizza Hut did that. Don't you guys deliver? Yeah, but when it gets too busy, DoorDash covers other deliveries. Wait. I paid a $5 delivery fee to the restaurant, not DoorDash. Where does that money end up going? Look, what do you want? I was hoping for some answers on my delivery and a discount or refund. Is there a manager I could speak with? I am a manager. What do you want? This is about the time me and the cousins noticed his tone shift. We were like, whoa, 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 what? Can I have your name? Nah, you don't need my name. Can I just get in-store credit or something? Nah. Us in the background, now joined by my younger brother-in-law who lives there. Why is he being so rude? They were the ones who forgot our drinks. You weren't even rude to him. I think I'll just call corporate, thanks. You still want the store credit? Yes, my number is this. What's your number? I was just saying it. Her voice is raising now because she was fed up with this rudeness. It's this number. It's credited. You need anything else? The number to corporate if you have it. Nah. Then no. And she hangs up. This whole thing really made me upset because of how much my mother-in-law had done for the family all weekend. Shame on you, male Karen. You should not be in a professional position and speak to people that way. As an ex-pizza place worker myself, I understand how rough the job can be. But that's no excuse to lash out at a customer who simply wants what they ordered, or a refund if you can't provide it. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Shimmerfo. It says, 100% post on their social media. This is neither DoorDash's fault nor yours. I'm saying this, and I effing hate DoorDash. I'd be willing to bet that the manager blamed DoorDash perfunctorily so that they wouldn't have to send the driver back out. Busy or not, that's not how you treat customers, and they should rightfully be called out. I completely agree with this. Post on social media, make sure people know just how much of a dink this person was being. But in this case, for how rude this guy was being, and claiming that they were the manager, I would probably try to contact their corporate office as well. Maybe it's time to look for a nice local pizza place, you know, one that isn't part of a big chain, where the workers just don't really care. The local mom and pop shops generally have a lot more care for their customers. That's probably the better way to go. This story comes to us from Human Type 001. Karma eventually caught a Karen. This happened many years ago, before we had the term Karen. I worked in an office that had multiple shifts, which meant sharing desks. This was common in the industry I was in, and I generally worked 5 to midnight, so was always assigned to a desk that belonged to someone during the day. But guess what, boo? You don't own the desk, and unless I make a mess, you have nothing to complain about. Anyway, this Karen worked at the desk next to the one I was frequently assigned to, and whenever I came in, I'd smile and say, "Hi," and she would barely grunt at me. Only once did I have to use her desk, and it was literally only for an hour because the person whose desk I was at came in earlier than expected, and she only knew because I was still working there when she came in, and I was finishing up a double shift, so I was very tired, 5 p.m. to 8 a.m., but tried to smile and say hi, and all she did was pick up the garbage can and start shrieking that there was a black layer of waxy paper from a sheet of labels in the recycling can, and it can't be recycled. She threw the sheet of paper and slammed the can down and stomped off. I just ignored her behavior. The next time I was assigned to her neighbor's desk, I again smile and say hi, and she didn't even grunt, just got up and walked away. It was the end of her shift, so I figured she left. Well, it turned out she went to the ladies' room before leaving, came back to her desk to get her things before leaving, and as she turned to walk away, I saw the glorious karma. Her skirt was fully tucked into her granny panties and her pantyhose. It was an awful sight to see, and I honestly don't know how she didn't feel it, but I didn't say a thing. I wish I could have seen the look on everyone's faces on that New York City subway train that night. Alright, here we go. A guy's wife is recovering from surgery and can't leave the house, so he goes to church alone. He comes home with a black eye. She asks what happened. He says, "The lady in the pew in front of me had her skirt stuck in her cheeks, so I reached over to pull it out for her, and she clocked me." Next week, he goes to church alone and comes home with another black eye. The wife says, "What happened this time?" He says, "Well, I sat in the pew behind her again, and since she got so mad last time, I figured I better put her skirt back in." This story comes to us from Jumbo Jur. Karen demands me to clean her data from a device she hasn't used. So to set the picture, I recently sold a used notebook on eBay Classifieds similar to Craigslist. It was a pretty old Acer notebook I used during uni and had 8 years on its back. It's still perfectly fine to consume media on or just use it for personal work. I even replaced the battery, so it would actually hold a charge for more than 30 minutes, and replace the hard drive with an SSD so it boots fast enough to be usable. The ad was very clear in the fact that it is used and does not come with a Windows key, since I always used Linux on it. So I installed a fresh copy of Linux Mint on it and also noted that fact in the ad. I got a few messages with people wanting it for less than the new battery was worth, so I delighted to get a message from a lady that needed a notebook for browsing and maybe doing some spreadsheets and text work. I told her that I would install LibreOffice for her, which is fine for most use cases, and then send it over as soon as I received payment. She paid, and I sent it. After about 2 weeks, she messaged me that it doesn't turn on and wanted a refund. I told her to send it back, and I would refund her the money. After receiving it, it would turn on easily and would give me a Windows 7 login screen with her account. I texted her that it works and it has been used by her, so I will send it back again for reimbursement for the shipping. She demanded I delete her data and refund me. So I circumvented the login screen and took a look at her stuff. She had vacation pictures on there. She took the thing onto a vacation, used it, and then just sent it back. After confronting her with all of this, she blocked me without getting the money back and tried to claim the money back instead with her bank. But since I could show all of the receipts for shipping and successful delivery when my bank contacted me, they denied the claim, and I haven't heard from her since. So I have 80 euros and a working laptop to sell. Screw you, Karen. OP did mention in a quick edit at the bottom, it says, I obviously deleted all her data by cleaning the drive with an eraser tool after this was over. I may be a C, but I'm not a criminal. Doesn't everybody know at this point that you don't do this on a private sale? You do this with a big company that has, maybe a 30-day return policy, no questions asked? Like that big one with the A online? This is not legal advice, just saying. Karen had to expect that the first thing that was going to happen when this laptop came back was that OP was going to turn it on. I really don't know what they were expecting to happen. This story comes to us from Wayward Mama 47. GameStop Karen, aka customer thinks he knows better. A wild male Karen story with a satisfying ending. My friend and I decided to stop at a GameStop while we were out of town to look for a certain game. When we got inside, I hopped in line to ask a worker and my friend started browsing. There were two people in front of me looking annoyed, and then there was Karen at the register taking up the attention of both workers who also looked annoyed. "I've been coming to this store for years," he barked at them. "They've always done it for me." The manager essentially told him that all GameStops have the same basic rules, and he couldn't just give this guy a discount. It could actually cost him his job. The Karen was asking for a price match with the same item at Best Buy. However, the one employee rung it up at that price and put the pro member discount on top of it, which took like $7 extra off. The manager told the worker that they can't apply that discount on top of a price match. Well, Wild Karen goes off. "I want to see your paperwork. Show me where it says you can't do that. I've been coming here for years. You're going to lose my business if you don't give it to me at this price." Dude literally turned red in the face, yelling at these guys. The manager walks off and returns with some papers. He stands there and reads through the pages and then smiles. "Oh, actually, not only can I not apply a discount to a price match, we're not allowed to price match at all at this location." He proceeds to hand the papers over to Karen, who's now hemming and hawing and steaming from the ears. The workers help the line that's piled up while Karen reads over the papers multiple times and realizes he's not going to get the thing he wanted unless he pays full price. So in the end, the thing he wanted would have cost him well over $200 instead of $170 because he wanted it for $163. As somebody who's worked in many retail and financial services jobs, when somebody says that we're going to lose their business and they're never going to come back, you just want to say right back to them, "Sometimes the trash takes itself out, huh?" Some people literally just default to pissy and Karen in all of their life's interactions. I just can't imagine living that way. This story comes to us from OK Ambassador 9111. Male Karen threw a handful of coins at me at McDonald's. This story happened when I was 20 and worked in a McDonald's while studying at university. I was shy and inexperienced of human nature, and it was my first job in the restaurant industry. McDonald's probably was a bold choice for a girl like that, but despite the humiliation and suffering, I'm glad I chose it because it made me tough. One day, on my second week of working there, I finished my shift at 10 p.m. In my country, most companies paid their workers that day, so everyone paid in cash with big banknotes. So in the last hour of my shift, I was struggling with giving back the change. My cash register mostly consisted of 50s and $100 notes, or 1, 5, 10, 25 cents. And of course, everyone rushed to spend their hard-earned money on McDonald's. A guy in his late 30s or early 40s with a full business attire walked in at around 9:50 p.m. He only asked for a small ice cream in a cone. It was $1 when this happened, and he paid with a banknote which is worth about $50 here. I asked him politely if he had a smaller banknote. He replied with a simple no. Until that point, there was nothing about him that screamed Karen. I could give him back $40 in banknotes. I told him I could only give him the last $9 in coins since there were no banknotes left in my cash register. He let out a very annoyed and rude reply, but I thought it was directed at the situation and not me. I started counting the $9 to him in cents. I could only give him back the last $1 in 5 and 10 cents. I accidentally gave him 95 cents. I didn't realize until he said, "This is just $8.95. I immediately replied, "I am very sorry," and gave him the last 5 cents. I thought that was the end of it. That is when he started screaming from his lungs with a bright red face. "Did you really think you could get away with stealing from me? You are not going to take away my money." I looked up shocked, trying to process what was happening. He was screaming so loud that the whole McDonald's went silent, and they were all staring at us. I told him, "I'm sorry, it was not intentional. I just miscalculated the coins." He continued screaming, "You are not going to scam me. And what the F are these coins? Give me banknotes." And he threw all the coins from his grip at me. I stood there humiliated, intimidated, 50 people staring at me. I could only say, "I don't have banknotes." He replied, "I don't give an F what you have. Give me banknotes from somewhere." This is when the manager arrived to my station. He was the good guy manager, thankfully. He took over the situation, gave him his change, and firmly told him that cashiers cannot leave their station and can only handle the money that is in their register. And it's very unlikely someone would steal 5 cents. He dropped his brave, screaming attitude now that the manager wasn't a 20-year-old girl and left. Before the incident, the only conflict I had was when my mom was mad at me for not tidying my room. So that was a lot for sure. I remember I walked home crying and shaking. Never saw him again after that. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Fredya Freya. It says, "This was a strangely comforting read. I'm currently at this point in life, scared that I'm never going to be able to deal with people like this and keep a job to support myself." OP responded to this one and said, "It is tough. It took me 3 years. There was a point where I had become rude myself. I feel very guilty about it, but I quickly realized and dropped that attitude. Yeah, I can sense on many rude cashiers, they are rude because of the years they spend with customers like that. It is not right though. Do not feel bad about it, we are not the same. For some people, it is natural. Some people can learn in time, and some people are never going to be the type who can endure it. It's alright. There are plenty of jobs where you can avoid contacting people, and the service industry is tough. Now, after all these years, and having worked in other industries and offices and corporates, I think it is harder to deal with your coworkers and toxic work environments. You also develop a don't give a F attitude after a while, which pisses the Karens off. And you actually learn to keep the peace. Don't worry, dear. I found the best way to deal with people who were acting like Karens was just to be as friendly as I possibly could. Like, over the top, nothing's ever bad in my world. You're my best friend, and I'm gonna treat you like my best friend because you're just amazing. Most times, it would make them even more pissed off, and I would just continue to kill them with kindness. This story comes to us from Unrated. Karen doesn't think I'm disabled enough for the handicap spot. So I, 24 female, am in the process of finding out if I tore my left ACL or not. During this time, I was given a temporary handicap pass because I'm on crutches and have a knee brace. This morning, I drove to my MRI appointment and saw an empty handicap spot and parked there. I shouldn't be walking regularly, but I can at least limp around the car and grab the crutches in the passenger seat. Right before I open the door, some lady approaches me from behind and is all, Miss, you can't park there." I'm not a mean person, and I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, so I just go, "I'm on crutches and have a pass, don't worry." This lady, with her voice sharpening, says, "You can clearly walk, and I don't see no crutches." So I open the door and pull one out. For some context, my crutches are decorated with stickers. The lady, who will now be known as Karen, scoffed and said, "That pretty crap ain't real, that's just a decoration, move your darn car." She pulls out her phone, and I assume she's going to start filming me. I'm not confrontational by any means, but my knee was hurting, I woke up too early, and Karen was probably about to blast me on Facebook, so I responded, "Film, and this crutch will be up your butt." I'm not sure what happened next, as I turned around and hobbled off. I was so upset, I forgot my other crutch in the car. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Spiceless Kimchi. It says, "I have a friend who has phocomelia, so her arms didn't develop normally in the womb and are small and frail. The rest of her body is very normal, but not her arms. She has a specially made steering system in her car, so she drives. One day, we roll up to Target and she parks in the handicap spot, and some lady on my passenger side of the car yells, "You're not crippled!" And she literally runs around the back of the car and flaps her tiny arms in the wind, and we both just died laughing. Karen just jumped in her car, embarrassed, and drove away quickly. Thanks for bringing that memory back up. We still die laughing about it to this day. Yes, ridicule is a wonderful way to handle a Karen. Another way that OP could have handled the Karen would be to look at her while holding onto one of the crutches and say, "Hey, if you don't leave me alone, you're gonna need this spot a lot more than I do." Did you know every KCC video is also produced in podcast form? You can search for Karma Comment Chameleon on every major podcasting platform. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.